I never thought loneliness could have a sound, but it does. It's the quiet click of the front door when Mark leaves for another week-long trip, the hum of the refrigerator at 2 a.m., the way my own footsteps echo through the hallway like they belong to someone else. 8 years married, and the house still feels borrowed. Mark is kind, reliable, successful. The checklist husband everyone envied when we started. But kindness isn't the same as desire. Reliability doesn't warm the sheets. Success doesn't notice when you stop wearing the lingerie he once liked. Alex came back home 6 months ago. Fresh out of grad school, no job yet that matched his degree. He moved into the guest room upstairs. Polite, quiet, always offering to fix the leaky faucet or carry the groceries. At 24, he looked more like a man than the boy I remembered from years earlier. The way his shoulders filled out his shirts, the low timbre in his voice when he said good morning, it was impossible not to notice. I told myself it was harmless observation, the kind any woman might make about a grown stepson living under the same roof. Mark had been gone 4 days this time. I'd grown used to the rhythm of solo evenings. Wine, a book I barely read, scrolling through shows I never finished. That night the house felt heavier. I poured a second glass, walked the hallway barefoot, telling myself I was just checking if the windows were locked. His door was cracked open, a thin stripe of warm light spilling onto the hardwood. I should have kept walking. Instead I paused. A soft sound drifted out, ragged breathing, the rustle of sheets. My pulse jumped. Curiosity, not suspicion, pulled me closer. Through the narrow gap I saw him. Alex, alone on his bed, eyes closed, hand moving with slow, deliberate rhythm. The lamplight carved shadows across his chest, his stomach lower. My breath caught. I knew I should leave, shut the door silently, pretend this never happened. But I didn't. He murmured something. Name. Low, almost lost in the exhale. Lena. My name on his lips, wrapped in that private, desperate sound. Heat flooded my face, my neck, places I hadn't felt in years. Shame should have hit first. Didn't. Instead came something sharper, recognition. The same hunger I'd buried under years of polite distance and empty nights. I stood frozen, watching the way his body arched, the way his jaw tightened right before release. When it came, he whispered my name again, softer like a confession. I backed away before he opened his eyes. Heart hammering, I retreated to the kitchen, poured cold water over my wrists, tried to drown the image. It wouldn't leave. My reflection in the dark window looked guilty already. I told myself it was nothing. Moment. A mistake of hearing. Men fantasize. Doesn't mean anything. But the lie tasted thin. I went to bed alone, Mark's side cool and flat. Sleep wouldn't come. Every time I closed my eyes I saw him. Alex, head thrown back, saying my name like it was the only word that mattered. I pressed my thighs together, felt the ache bloom, hated myself for it, and still let my hand drift down anyway. The next morning he was at the coffee maker before me. Hair damp from the shower, wearing a plain gray t-shirt that clung in places it shouldn't have. He smiled the same easy smile he always did. Morning, he said. Sleep okay? I nodded, throat too tight for words. My fingers trembled as I reached for a mug. When our hands brushed reaching for the creamer, electricity shot up my arm. He didn't pull away. Neither did I. That was the moment I knew the line had already been crossed. Not when he said my name in the dark, but when I stayed to hear it. The coffee maker hissed, filling the kitchen with steam that blurred the edges of everything. Alex stood there, back to me, shoulders relaxed under that gray shirt. I watched the muscles shift as he poured 2 mugs without asking if I wanted one. When he turned, our eyes met for half a second too long. I looked away first. Thanks, I said, taking the mug. Our fingers brushed again. This time the contact lingered. Deliberate on his part, I was sure. Heat crawled up my arm like a secret. I sipped too fast, burned my tongue, welcomed the sting as distraction. All day the house felt smaller. Mark was still gone, the silence louder than usual. I folded laundry in the living room. Alex carried a basket down from his room and set it beside mine without a word. Our hands met over a towel. Neither of us pulled back immediately. His thumb grazed my knuckle once, slow, testing. My breath hitched. I pretended not to notice, kept folding, but my pulse was a drum in my ears. By afternoon the tension had teeth. He was reading on the couch, legs stretched out, book open on his thigh. I sat across from him with a magazine I wasn't reading. Every time I shifted, his gaze flicked up. Not obvious, just enough. I crossed my legs, uncrossed them, felt ridiculous and alive at the same time. "You okay?" he asked finally, voice low. "Fine." My skin felt too tight. He set the book down. "You've been quiet since last night." My stomach dropped. He knew I'd seen. The certainty hit like cold water. I opened my mouth to deny it, but nothing came. Instead I said, "I heard you." He didn't flinch. Just watched me steady, waiting. "I shouldn't have stayed," I added. Voice small. "But you did." Silence stretched, thick and electric. He leaned forward, elbows on knees. "I've thought about you for longer than I should. Way longer." The confession landed soft like a touch. I swallowed. "Alex, this is wrong." He finished for me. "I know." No apology in his tone. Just fact. "Doesn't change that I want it." I stood up too fast. Walked to the window, stared at the empty driveway. "Your father isn't here." He was behind me now, close enough I felt his warmth. Not touching. "And he hasn't looked at you in years." "Not the way I do." Closed my eyes. The truth stung because it fit. Mark's kisses had become routine. His touch mechanical. Alex's voice alone felt more intimate than anything I'd had in ages. Turned. We were inches apart. His eyes searched mine, dark and unguarded. "Tell me to stop," he said. "I will." I didn't. Instead I lifted my hand, fingertips brushing his jaw. Rough stubble, warm skin. He exhaled sharp. Then his hand covered mine, pressing it to his face. We stayed like that, breathing the same air, the line between us thinning to nothing. That evening we cooked together. Nothing special, pasta, garlic bread, a bottle of red he'd brought home. We talked about nothing and everything. My old dreams of traveling. His uncertainty about the future. He listened like every word mattered. When I laughed at something he said, his smile reached his eyes, and for the first time in years I felt seen. After dinner we moved to the living room. Closer than we should have been. His arm rested along the back, fingers inches from my shoulder. I leaned into the cushion, letting my head tip toward him. The room smelled like garlic and him. Clean soap, faint cedar. "You're beautiful when you laugh," he said quietly. Heat bloomed in my chest. "Don't." "Why not?" "It's true. Because it makes this harder." He shifted, facing me fully. "What if I don't want it to be hard?" Our knees touched. Neither moved. The wine had softened the edges, or maybe that was just him. I looked at his mouth, remembered the way he'd said my name in the dark, and something inside me cracked open. His hand found mine between us. Fingers laced slow, careful. I didn't pull away. I squeezed back. That was all it took. The wine glass sat empty on the coffee table. The room had gone quiet except for our breathing. Alex's hand was still in mine, thumb tracing slow circles over my knuckles. I looked at him, really looked, and saw the same hunger I felt mirrored back. No more words. No more excuses. I leaned in first. Our lips met soft, tentative, like testing if this was real. Then he kissed me deeper, hand sliding to the back of my neck, pulling me closer. He'd exploded through me. His mouth tasted like red wine and want, and I kissed him back like I'd been starving for years. 'Cause I had. We stood without breaking apart. His arms wrapped around my waist, strong and sure. Mine went around his neck. We moved backward through the hallway, steps clumsy, mouths never leaving each other. My back hit the wall once. He pressed me there for a moment, kissing harder, hips grinding slow against mine. I gasped into his mouth. The sound seemed to ignite something in him. We reached his room. Door shut behind us with a quiet click. The lamp was still on from the night before, low golden light washing over the bed. He pulled my shirt over my head in one smooth motion. I did the same to him, fingers trembling as I traced the lines of his chest, the faint trail of hair disappearing below his waistband. His skin was warm, taut. I pressed my palm flat against his heart. It hammered as hard as mine. He lifted me, carried me the last few steps, laid me down on sheets that still smelled faintly of him from the night I'd watched. I pulled him down with me. Our bodies aligned perfectly, chest to chest, thigh to thigh. His weight felt right, grounding. Safe in the most dangerous way. Clothes came off in a rush. Hands everywhere. His mouth on my neck, my collarbone lower. I arched when he took a nipple between his lips, sucking slow, deliberate. My fingers dug into his shoulders. When he moved down my stomach, kissing every inch, I stopped breathing. He settled between my legs, looked up at me with dark eyes, asking without words. He nodded. His tongue found me, and I nearly came undone right then. Slow circles, then faster, then slow again. I moaned his name, first time saying it like this, and he groaned against me, the vibration sending shocks through my core. My hips bucked. He held them steady, never stopping until I shattered, thighs clamping around his head, vision blurring. He rose up, kissing me again so I could taste myself on him. I reached between us, wrapped my hand around him. Hard, hot, pulsing. He hissed through his teeth. I guided him and he pushed in slow, inch by inch, until he was buried deep. We both froze, breathing hard, feeling each other. Then he started moving. Slow at first, savoring. Then faster. Deeper. I wrapped my legs around his waist, meeting every thrust. The bed creaked, we didn't care. His hand found mine, fingers laced tight. Our eyes stayed locked. No hiding. No pretending this was anything but what it was. Raw, desperate, beautiful. The phone buzzed on the nightstand. Mark's name lit the screen. We both froze. My heart slammed against my ribs. Alex looked at me, waiting. I reached over, silenced it, tossed it to the floor. Then I pulled him back down, kissed him fierce, rolled us so I was on top. I rode him hard, chasing the edge again. His hands gripped my hips, guiding, urging. When I came a second time, he followed, burying his face in my neck, groaning my name like a prayer. We collapsed, tangled, slick with sweat. His arms wrapped around me tight. I rested my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat slow. For the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. But the phone lay silent on the floor, screen dark now. And in the quiet, guilt started to creep in. Soft at first, then sharp. Still I didn't move. I stayed right there, wrapped in him, choosing this over everything else. For tonight, at least. Morning light sliced through the blinds, sharp and accusing. I woke in Alex's bed. His arm heavy across my waist. Breath steady against my neck. For a heartbeat I let myself stay there. Warm, sated, wanted. Then reality crashed in like cold water. Mark would be home today. Flight landed at noon. I slipped out carefully, not waking him, gathered my clothes from the floor, dressed in the hallway like a thief. In our bedroom, my bedroom, I showered fast, scrubbed away the scent of him, but it clung anyway. When I looked in the mirror, my eyes were different. Brighter. Guilty. I brushed my teeth, fixed my hair, put on the same robe I'd worn for years. Routine felt like a lie now. Alex appeared in the kitchen when I was making coffee. He didn't speak at first, just watched me from the doorway. When I turned, he stepped close, took the mug from my hands, set it down. Then he kissed me, soft, lingering, full of everything we hadn't said last night. I kissed back before I could stop myself. When we broke apart, his thumb brushed my cheek. "We can't keep pretending this is nothing," he said quietly. "I know. But you're going back to him today." I didn't answer. Couldn't. Mark walked through the door at 2:30, suitcase in hand, tie loosened, same tired smile. He kissed my forehead like always. "Missed you," he said. I smiled, said I missed him too. The words tasted like ash. Dinner was tense in a way only I felt. Mark talked about the trip, the clients, the deal that almost fell through. Alex sat across from us, polite, distant, eyes flicking to me when Mark wasn't looking. Every glance was a spark. Every time our feet brushed under the table, electricity shot through me. I excused myself early, said I had a headache. Mark nodded, understanding. He always understood. That night he reached for me in the dark. Let him. It was familiar, mechanical, over quickly. When he rolled away and started snoring, I stared at the ceiling, tears burning. Not because I hated him. Because I pitied us both. The next days blurred. Stolen moments with Alex became oxygen. A quick brush of hands in the hallway. A whispered "tonight" when Mark stepped out for a call. Late at night, when the house slept, I'd slip into Alex's room. We moved, careful, quiet, desperate. Each time more intense than the last. Each time the guilt grew heavier, but the need grew stronger. Then the note. I found it tucked in my robe pocket one morning. Alex's handwriting, simple. I love the way you look when you forget to be careful. But I hate what this is doing to you. Tell me to stop. I will. I cried in the shower that day. Not loud. Just silent shaking. Because I didn't want him to stop. I wanted more. I wanted out of the cage I'd built with Mark. I wanted the life I felt when Alex looked at me like I was the only thing that mattered. Mark noticed the distance. You okay? He asked over breakfast. Said yes. He believed me. Or maybe he didn't want to know. A week later I left the note on the kitchen counter by accident. Mark picked it up while I was in the bathroom. When I came out, he was sitting at the table, paper in hand, face blank. Is this real? He asked. I didn't lie. Yes. He stared at me for a long time. No yelling. No tears. Just quiet devastation. How long? Not long enough to make it right. Long enough to break everything. He stood, walked out. Came back an hour later with a duffel bag. I'll stay at the hotel tonight. We'll talk tomorrow. He left. The house felt empty in a way it never had before. Alex found me on the couch, knees to chest. He didn't say anything at first. Just sat beside me, hand on my back. I'm sorry, he whispered. Don't be. I leaned into him. I chose this. We didn't sleep together that night. We just held each